are back into the conversation, folks. Hottest show on the streets. Best form of Crimson Tide football, news, notes, and information. This is In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Gotta remind you, if you haven't done so already, be sure to go to touchdownalabama.com, touchdownalabama.com, to get your vote on for round 2 of the March Madness tournament, where you discuss the best bars, the best restaurants in Tuscaloosa. Round 1 is over. Round 2 is in session right now, and you can vote up to March 20th at 2 p.m. March 20th at 2 p.m. So continue to push your favorite venues into the next steps, the next levels, next rounds of the March Madness bracket that comes from or via touchdownalabama.com. But we look at the national championships of the Nick Saban era. Ranking the national championships of the Nick Saban era, of course, there are 5 of them: 2009, 2011, 2012, 2015, and 2017. And we are ranking these by order of significance. Order of significance. So for me, at number 5, give me the 2012 championship team at number 5. 2012 was a good year. 2012, you had A.J. McCarron, who threw for 30 touchdowns to just 3 picks. You had 2 1,000-yard backs, T.J. Yeldon and Eddie Lacy. Amari Cooper, freshman then, had a 1,000-yard season. Defensively, you had some dogs in the defense. That was clearly the best offensive line of the Nick Saban era, with Jeff Stoutland as the head coach. And the matchup against Georgia in the SEC championship game, that was historic. I mean, a battle between Aaron Murray on one side, A.J. McCarron on the other side. Both teams were back and forth. And it came down to really a 45-yard bomb from McCarron to Cooper to put Alabama out in front, 32-28. Crimson Tide would go on to win by that score, punching its ticket into the 2013 BCS National Championship game and laying the wood to Manti Te'o and the Fighting Irish by the score of 42-14. So 2012 National Championship would be number 5 for me. Number 4, the 2015 title team. 2015 National Championship unit was a great one, and it faced some adversity after 2013 and 2014, 2 years where it did not win a national title. Some defensive issues were a part of that. In the summer of 2015, prior to the season, the conversation from national talking heads was that Alabama not the clear-cut favorite to win the national championship or even to win the SEC. People had Auburn winning the conference, LSU, Ole Miss, Georgia, just a number of other teams ahead of Alabama. And despite, losing to Ole Miss 43-37 inside Bryant-Denny, Crimson Tide found out, hey, this Jacob Coker dude can sling the football. This Jacob Coker dude can be the quarterback. Once Jacob Coker was able to calm down, this young man can play. I mean, he can ball. And you go out there against Georgia the very next week in raining, muddy, just drenched, wet Sanford Stadium between the hedges in Athens, and you're able to get a 38-10 win over the Dogs, and you ride that momentum all the way to the national championship game, beating Clemson in the first matchup between the Tide and the Tigers of the ACC. And Derrick Henry became the second Heisman Trophy winner in the history of the program. So number 4 for 2015 team for me. At number 3, the 2017 group, the latest national championship group. And much like 2015, 2017 had adversity. You had so many linebackers, inside linebackers, outside linebackers get hurt to where Tide Nation had to depend on Keith Holcomb. Tide Nation had to depend on Keith Holcomb at inside linebacker, and love Keith. Keith, great guy, tremendous young man, hard worker, just at that moment, probably a little too much for him, but he did what he could do. And despite having those injuries, and losing to the Auburn Tigers in the 2017 season, Alabama was still able to get to the college football playoff. And in the national championship game against Georgia, Nick Saban had to make a gutsy decision. He loved Jalen Hurts. He respected Jalen Hurts. He admired the competitor that is Jalen Hurts. But in a game where you're down 13-0 to Georgia and Kirby Smart, you have your potential 6th national championship to tie you with Paul Bear Bryant hanging in the balance. And you got to find a way to win the football game. Nick Saban has to roll the dice and go, Jalen, we love you, man. We appreciate you, man. But we're trying to win a football game. We got to go with Tua. You throw Tua Tagovailoa, then freshman from Hawaii, out there on the biggest stage of his life. And the young man came up pure money. 3 touchdown passes in the game, brought the energy back in the building for Alabama, and the final touchdown, we all know it, the play dubbed 2nd and 26, the pure, poetic rainbow 41-yard pass from Tua to Devontae Smith to win the game 26-23. We had Jared Maiden, former Alabama safety, in studio on last week, and he just talked about how, man, when that ball was in the air, just how pretty it was, and the moment it was caught by Smitty, the place went crazy, the place went nuts, and it was a tale of 2 different emotions. You had the angry Nick Saban when Tua took the sack on 1st down, going, why, Tua? Why did you have to take the sack? Why? Dick upset, throwing his headset in just utter frustration, becoming unglued on the sideline. But that only lasted about 2 seconds because the very next play, Nick Saban, hands up in jubilation, running onto the field. He could not believe that the very next play was going to be a game-winning touchdown throw, and emotions running high. The team found a way to get that done. So number 3 for me, the 2017 national championship team. At number 2, the 2009 championship team, the one that started it all. A lot of people would put this at number 1, and I would not disagree if you would have it at number 1, but I have it at number 2. The 2009 team, what made that group special was that team was tired of being mediocre. It was tired of being average. It was tired of that dark, sort of ominous cloud hovering over Tuscaloosa in a sense of, will we ever get back to being champions? Will we ever get back to where Wallace Wade and Frank Thomas and Paul Bear Bryant and, of course, Gene Stallings, will we ever get back to the place that those coaches had us at one point in time? And Nick Saban comes in 2007. Of course, he's told that it would take him 6 years to win the first one. Coach Saban goes, I'll do you one better. I'll win the first one in half the time. 3 years, baby, let's go. And Coach Saban in 2009, you had a lot of Mike Shula guys that started off on this endeavor. A lot of them, hit stage left, but you had 13 Mike Shula guys, including Chris Rogers and Mike McCoy, that said, you know what? If Nick Saban's the guy, let's buy in, let's stand by him, let's get with the program, because this is the man that's going to take us back to the promised land. And boy, did Coach Saban do just that. 09, Greg McElroy holding the ship in place. Mark Ingram, your first Heisman winner, 1,658 yards rushing on the season. Julio Jones, a game-breaking, game-changing receiver. Alabama caught some breaks that year, had to go out of the Wildcat formation with Ingram against South Carolina, against Ole Miss, number of other different teams, but found a way to get to the SEC championship game where it faced Florida in the rematch, and Tim Tebow cries. Tim Tebow cries. The final score, 32-13. A great game for McElroy, great game for Ingram, great game for Marquise Mays, great game for the defense, and that was the beginning of the end of Urban Meyer in Florida as he ends up taking a small retirement. Somehow he's able to come back to coach the Ohio State Buckeyes, but that's besides the point. The 09 team special because the 09 team bought into Coach Saban, bought into the standard, bought into the thing that Saban now regards as the process. and brought in the first national championship of the Alabama regime for Nick Saban, or under Nick Saban, which leads us to my number one in terms of significance, the 2011 national championship team. And this team, you want to talk about adversity, people. April 27th, 2011, a vicious EF4 or EF5, a vicious tornado swept through the city, claiming lives, claiming possessions, claiming buildings, claiming infrastructure. In the immediate aftermath of the tornado, you could not recognize Tuscaloosa. You couldn't recognize the city because of the damage that was done, the impact that happened, just the horror, just the absolute horror of that natural disaster. And it really, caused Nick Saban to look at his players and say, guys, this is your home. This is our home. This is our community. Let's get out here on the block, get out here in these streets, get out here and help these people, get out here and help these residents, get out here and help these guys that take pride and joy in watching you every single Saturday. So, Coach Saban challenged his team to help the people, to restore a city. So that was something. And then in 2010, you didn't win a national championship despite having one of the more talented teams in 2010. Now, some complacency set in, but Alabama did not win a national championship. You lost some guys to the NFL draft, and people wondered who would replace a Mark Ingram, who would replace a Greg McElroy, who would replace a Julio Jones, who would replace these guys on defense that Alabama lost. And lo and behold, A.J. McCarron, redshirt sophomore, first year as a starting quarterback, McCarron stepped up. Trent Richardson stepped up. Marquise May stepped up. Darius Hanks stepped up. Just so many guys on defense stepped up, led by Donta Hightower, Courtney Upshaw, Mark Barron, Drake Kirkpatrick, C.J. Mosley had some play in there, Damian Square, Nick Gentry. So many guys, Vinny Sinceri, so many guys stepped up. And, those guys, despite the loss to LSU in the first meeting of the 2011 season, 9-6, boy, did they come back with a vengeance in the 2012 national championship game and just shut LSU off the scoreboard, shut them out of the water, 21-0. Just tremendous football game, tremendous season. And another reason why the 2011 championship team was so significant for me, that year was my first year as a freshman at the University of Alabama. That was my freshman year. That was my first year doing extensive coverage for this team via Touchdown Alabama magazine. Now, I joined the company in 2009, but my first year doing extensive coverage was that 2011 season. So that 2011 team, number one for me. But we take another break here on In My Own Words, the podcast, hottest show on the streets. Upon our return, we dive more into your phone calls, thoughts, tweets, text messages, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in the Alabama football content, subscribe here. and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.